also do the recording as I do. So fair enough. We'll start with the sports entertainment. It is a sort of series which we are doing, and like every other session, the way we are looking at this is not something which tells the obvious. Obviously, the reality is that every segment is affected. Sports and entertainment is one segment which is badly affected. But this session is not so much about quantification of what is the loss and all, how many $billion have been lost, because, give or take, everybody knows, how bad the situation is. But it is more of looking at, within this market, some may be doing well, some may be doing better than others, some may be really doing badly. Some may make a change in the way they do their business and can actually do better than what they are doing today. And the fact that they are not changing is not because they can't change, but obviously they are waiting because there is a cost associated with every change, and they are possibly waiting for, to see how things pan out, right? And some of the thoughts which has been toyed or which has been spoken about, or we also are aware, or some technology which is available, some methodology which is available in bits and pieces or adopted by some early adopters, but they may become mainstream just because situation is very different now. And we all talk of this, that how Zoom suddenly became, I was reading that article, Zoom suddenly became the default device of the whole world to connect. Probably most 90% of the people, 250 million people who are using Zoom, or 300 million people who are using Zoom today, I'm sure 95% never really knew actually what Zoom is all about. But we quickly change, and now we are so comfortable with it. So there may be many ways entertainment and sports might change, and after some time we might just think that this is reality, provided of course this current situation continues for a long time. If things become very normal, we'll go back to what it was before, but if it continues for years, it will be very different. So this is the summary, or rather than the theme of today's discussion. There are many segments which we looked at so far, so I will not get into talking about them again. Yesterday only we covered energy and utility and sports entertainment. Tomorrow I plan to cover infrastructure, because that's a very large industry across the world, and specifically now when there is a global downturn, the first focus the government will do is to pump money in the infrastructure sector, because it does create employment as well as create assets for the future. But we'll look at it in greater detail tomorrow. For now, it is the sports entertainment is what the focus is. Now, this is no denying of the fact that if we have to look at any segment today which is probably the worst affected, of course after aviation, because aviation is shut down, but if you take out aviation, I think the worst affected segment is today the sports and entertainment. So all the sports events across the world have stopped. We know that for now Olympics have moved to 2021, and then again there is uncertainty whether it will happen. I think this is the first time, somebody like Shubhranshu can correct me, but I think this is the first time Olympic has been moved by a year, except for one time we didn't have it during Second World War, but I think Olympic was never moved. But I may
Same goes for Wimbledon as well.
Yeah, so Wimbledon is another one. Of course, Olympic is once in 4 years. We have all the entertainment shows across the world has been cancelled. All the movie theaters, all the malls, which became very normal.
Broadway shows.
Yeah, everything is, the
anything
theater,
which puts people in close proximity.
Yeah, so absolutely closed, right? But at the same time, if you look deep into the sports and entertainment and broaden the picture, and we'll see it a little later, that there are a lot of this out of it, a lot of it is actually running, and some of them are actually growing. The obvious thing is, of course, the streaming media, the Netflix of the world, but there are many other areas which people have, some of them probably we are not very aware in the India context. For example, console gaming, right? It's not very popular in India, but it's a very big thing globally, very big in Korea, Japan, China, US, for example. and they are actually doing roaring business. And there are many other business models which people are trying now. Very quickly, people have come with online concerts for which they are selling tickets. They are having thousands, at times hundreds of thousands of people. And there are models which are available, which people are waiting to see whether they should adopt or not, and that can actually potentially start back much of the activity. So it's an interesting thing because you know this is one industry which is uh, by nature not a necessity. It's not a transport industry, it's not food, it's not agriculture, it is not healthcare, it is not even education. This is something which is discretionary. We can live without it. But having said that, it has a very strong emotional appeal. If I don't get my brand of toothpaste, I don't think I'll really care. But if I don't get to hear the hero I like, recently we had this death of Irfan Khan specifically. I will talk about, people felt like, somebody in their family died. It never happens. If tomorrow Coca-Cola dies, I don't think anybody will cry, right? So it's a emotionally very, very strong attachment people have with this sports entertainment, and that brings a very different dimension altogether. And that brings two things. One is that it possibly gives a chance to significantly move the business model, so long the basic need of individual to remain in touch, though not personally, but remain in touch with the work of the individuals or individual or group of individuals we like, which can be a performer, which can be a singer, which can be a movie actor, which can be a player or a team or a club. And second thing is that if that transition happens, possibly it will give a significant move of people, and people will very quickly move to the new mode of engagement, because our connection is not so much with the media, but with the people whom we really cherish to have as one of our role models. So this is something I am thinking, that this area, unlike many other segments, can actually quickly transition, and people may not mind much if the COVID situation persists for a very long time. For example, my daughter, and I'm sure most of your children also are very fond of this Korean rock, and she has suddenly got into this online rock concerts, and paying some 1,500 rupees and being very active. At 3 o'clock she's getting up, and she really doesn't really care. Of course, she has never seen them in face to face, but she has quickly transitioned from the news about physical concerts to really entering into digital concerts, and she is very happy about it. All right, because the stars are there. So anyway, so let's move on. So this is the sports. I have put some logos. These are some of them are India sports. All of you are aware of this. Each of them are multi-billion dollar brand, if you can say. It is not just the revenue which we collect in the ground, which is usually a very, very small percentage, but the whole business, which is about the sponsorship, creating those merchandise, the brand value of the people who play there, their endorsements, and the whole thing. Each of them, if you look at a Olympic or a Euro, or even the IPL and all, each of the clubs are now couple of $1 billion in valuation, right? So the whole IPL will be 25-30 billion dollar valuation, right? And there is a huge engine which works to make it happen. For example, normally a Olympic game preparation, I got, once I got involved in my previous organization, there was some request from one very, very he was actually heading the technology of London Olympics, and they were looking at a alternative to Atos. Atos became the partner after IBM sort of flopped in 1996, and then Atos became the partner, and then they were looking at whether somebody else can do, and they reached out to Infosys almost 10 years back, saying, are you interested? So it's a huge amount of revenue and engagement of people. But one thing about the sports is that, the actual involvement of the people in the ground is a very minuscule part, both in terms of the number of spectators as well as the amount of revenue it generates. Now, of course, it is unthinkable that, some Manchester United or Indian team will be playing, or an IPL team will be playing where there is no audience. But at the same time, I was just thinking, when in childhood we used to play, there used to be no audience whatsoever. We used to play, and probably we were as engaged with our game as probably even there would have been some audience in some games where some my school or my class was involved. So it, as a player, it probably doesn't make huge difference. Uh, but yes, I cannot talk about those players and their mindset. But if you look at initially when IPL was in question, there was a thinking that IPL may be done in empty stadiums, right? It was a very serious thought. And European Cup also, the European EPL, some of these European matches actually happened in empty stadiums. And if I'm not mistaken, Barcelona had a couple of people who got, you know, uh, who contracted corona, and then they actually went slow. Otherwise, they were also looking at. So if this thing continues for a long time, I will assume that probably we will move into a sports arena where people will be, playing in arenas where, in stadiums where, maybe very less number of audience is there. I will not say zero audience, maybe some social distancing, maintaining and stuff like that, and control in terms of coming in and going out. May not be 80,000 in Salt Lake Stadium, but say with, say, 30,000 people or something like that, or 20,000 people, so that some sense of the live audience is there, because the large part of the sports is actually outside the playing arena, right, which is telecast, the branding, everything. The I guess right now there is a complete lockdown across the globe, but as the lockdown opens up very soon, the clubs, including the clubs in India, will find out the standard operating procedure as to how the players will be, practicing. It will be very easy for players to practice in games where there is no, physical contact, or like tennis singles and all that. But we have to obviously figure out better ways to do practice for games like football or hockey, which is high contact, or wrestling or boxing, which is all about contacts. But with we reaching, I think I was reading today that we are now reached a significant number, I think 80,000 tests per day. Very soon I think we'll have capacity to do, maybe a couple of millions per day, and these clubs can easily afford to get their players tested on a regular basis to ensure that practice is safe. And if you go back and look at the AIDS situation, they, not exactly in the same context, but there used to be a lot of similar concern was there about blood transfusion. Who is giving blood, who is taking blood, and all the blood donors had to be tested, and the regular blood donors always were, or have to do test every 3 months so that they can remain as blood donors. A lot of people give bloods 3-4 times a year, right? So something similar on those lines can possibly work. And I will assume that in some way, may not be the small ones like, 410 is that, I don't know, but the large sporting events may start happening much sooner. Maybe in next 3-4 months we'll start having them, because a lot of money, a lot of people are involved, and a lot of it is offline. Anyway, I'll come back and try to hear your thoughts here. The next is, but there is a huge market, and I am, sort of saying huge in a big way, because I almost 15 years back studied this online gaming market, and I was surprised, to say the least. The console game business that time, it was $20 billion, and it was bigger than Hollywood at that point of time. And today, I will look at some of these numbers. Console gaming is not very popular in India. I don't know whether, I don't have any PlayStation or Xbox in a house, because Indians, we always feel that this is a waste of time. But some of the countries I mentioned initially, gaming is a religion. Parent, especially father and children will play 2-3 hours of game, very regularly, maybe 3-4 days a week, in places like US or Japan. And it's large. Okay, and this is absolutely no physical contact, right? So the industry itself is a $137 billion industry. There are some things which it mentions. It will become physical game sales, means games are still sold in DVDs, which will become cloud based, so even less physical contact will happen. I gave some numbers here, and these are the sort of I gave this number just to give a sense of how popular it is. Okay. There are some tidbits. For example, when we are still at 264-bit CPU, which we use for our laptops, the game consoles, which is the Xbox and PS4, Xbox 360 is probably the latest for Microsoft, Nintendo and all, they are already using 256-bit microprocessors dedicated only for gaming. So they are so powerful that I recollect one news that there was, Saddam Hussein of Iraq once ordered 3,000 PlayStations, and US government, stopped the shipment because they said he will build a supercomputer using them. So, see, it's a huge industry, and the craze, if you can see, the Pokemon Sword game, 6 million copies were sold in over a weekend, 2 days. Xbox game Red Dead Redemption, 10 million in 2 days. And I just kept this as a Samsung Galaxy S5, which sold 11 million over a period of 1 month, right? And these are not cheap stuff, by the way. These are, of course, Galaxy is very expensive, but if you want to buy these games, it will typically, when they come out, they'll be 13,000-15,000 rupees, right? But people just want to buy it because they want to, it's like the first day, first show, they have played the previous version and they have become whatever champion and all, and then they want to go for the next one. Now, this market is huge, and if our ability to go out, see, the why people go for sports, there is a need, and entertainment also has a need. Entertainment is, many people can define many various ways. The sports gives us a feeling of competitiveness, right? The adrenaline rush, I think few days back Shubhranshu was saying, and the worst case, maybe we'll start taking adrenaline tablets and feel good. But the online games gives as much rush, if not more, than physical games. People do have, there are instances where people have played 72 hours and sort of died, which is a very unfortunate situation, but this happens. So if we don't see much of in-person games happening, we may see a shift towards the online gaming, which is a very, very entertaining and very large community. These massively online games where thousands, hundreds of thousands of people come together, play simultaneously. PUBG and all, how popular it is. How much money people are making. How they have their hierarchy and all that, which is I don't understand because we are not from that world, but it's a big thing, and it can as well become a accepted norm, right? So that may happen. There's some of the numbers which I sort of put. Nintendo console today is almost 750 million. Nintendo handheld, and the home console. Home console is something which you actually keep and then attach to your the TV or the display on one side, and you use this this handheld device. I'm just forgetting the name. You just use I'll come back to this particular device name, but you use that. I think it's called stylus or something. Not stylus, something else. And handheld console is actually take the device and start playing directly, and there is a small screen on the device, right? So the home consoles are usually much more expensive, much more powerful, and it is usually multi-purpose. It acts as a home gateway for your streaming media, for internet. Some people also connect the home security and all of that. Typically, they cost substantial amount, almost 50,000-60,000 rupees at least in Indian terms, $1,000 onwards. Now joystick is the word I forgot. Joystick is what you attach on one side and then you attach to the display and play. So look at it, almost 1 billion people are sitting on Nintendo, 500 million, sitting on Sony, various versions of Sony, PS1, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, Microsoft Xbox and all that, another 150 million. And these are the people, and this is of course gaming, now a lot of game is not necessarily played on, console. There is enough number of people who are playing it on laptops or phones, which is not even, we are not even aware. People are downloading free games on whatever device they are having and spending tons of time. If you travel in public transport, you will find half the people nowadays only play games, right? So it's a big market. And on the right side, I just put, the market size. If you look, we talked about $127 billion. I think there's a little bit of difference here and there. But these are the people who produce the games. And look at the size. Tencent of China actually is an $18 billion company just making games. This is not any hardware. This hardware is separate. Like Microsoft make games also, and it makes Xbox, but that is separate. Nintendo also is making games as well as Xbox. And in fact, I'm very surprised to see this number today. I didn't know, because last when I studied, Electronic Arts was $1.8 billion company. It was the largest. Today, Electronic Arts is $5 billion, and Chinese company has reached $20 billion. This is one area again. China has become so big. You see two large Chinese companies are out here. Anyway, so if you add up this itself, it will be, probably around $35 billion or so, and remaining $100+ billion is the hardware. But that excludes the phones people are buying, the laptops, desktops, and the free or the hacked version of various games which are playing. So the amount of time people are spending on gaming is, even in India, will be substantial. It can just go up if you don't get real sports for a long time. Yeah, sorry, looks like one slide has got repeated. So we'll move on. Yeah. Then I looked at this entertainment. Now there's entertainment is, of course, the film is Bollywood, Hollywood, Sandalwood, Kannada. This is a big thing. India is the largest, I think, second largest maker of the movies in the whole world after Nigeria, right? Nigeria make more movies than us. I don't know whether you knew that, or have you ever seen a Nigerian movie? So that movie industry, at least the content creation, is completely stopped. But it is streaming more so on the the streaming medias like Hotstar, Netflix, Prime Video, Sony, and some of the recent releases are coming to these platforms quicker. For example, recently I saw Thappad. I think Thappad came within 4 weeks. Normally they will take 3 months to come, just because they are seeing that no market is anyway there in the multiplex or movie theater. So let me move to online and stream it and make whatever money. But the movie market is one is the movie part and make money around it, and then movies around movie, you do the movie promotion, you have the movie music, you have the movie merchandise and all of that. Then of course not so much in India, but globally, especially the likes of the Disney, they make these animation movies, and all these characters like all these characters like Mickey Mouse and the square pant, what sponge, this, that, they are each worth some $20 billion, $30 billion sort of brands, and they make huge money by selling merchandise. All that is affected at this point of time, but it is not completely, it has not gone dead. It would have gone totally dead, and I will come and discuss the same about music. Had it been 10 years before, when the streaming media, the over-the-top medias like Hotstar, Netflix was not there, because everybody is ripping movies and sending to each other over internet, or this the likes of Napster. People will just be distributing content to each other. But thankfully, this model of high quality streaming along with the pricing mechanism has come of late, and some way movies have been protected, at least for the content which is already ready. The likes of the PVR and Cinepolis, Cinemax, individual movie theaters, and along with that, the whole theater industry has really collapsed, and I see that they are one of the worst victims, and they will take long time to come back. Probably they will take a very long time. I don't know, but there is no hope. Probably they'll be the last one to be allowed to be opened up, because it's definitely not a priority, and people are getting the entertainment in some way or other in other forms, right, over mobile or whatever, TV. The Hotstar, Netflix, Prime Video, Sony, the streaming services are obviously doing far better. If you see that, Hotstar or Netflix have reduced so much demand that they have reduced their quality by 25%. Otherwise, telecom network in the whole country would have collapsed, it seems. So anyway, obviously they are making mullah, and this is be an inflection point, because a lot of people who probably would have heard, Netflix, okay, Tata Sky, Netflix, I'll go, now have made a change, and suddenly, and definitely seen the quality and started liking it, and they will remain hooked on. So even if the multiplexes come back, I think the demand may not be as much as it was there before. This is my thought, because a lot of people now got hooked to home entertainment, high quality home entertainment. Now look at the social media. They are all doing well because people have more time and they are connecting with each other. Everybody is on the upswing. I have not looked at the stock value, but you can see that off late nobody is criticizing Facebook. It was like a favorite pastime of all politicians across the world to say Facebook is sort of taking away our data and all. But last few months nobody has talked about it, because without Facebook and without few other social media, we will probably not even exist, right? And politicians and everybody has come to this social media to reach out, including WHO, the government departments, individual politicians. So suddenly they have become a darling, and instead of being criticized, we have understood their value, and they are doing well, and fine, and that will continue. So OTT players are really the real winners, I think. The Hotstar, Netflix, and all, and of course the social media players who are on the top of the telecom stack. The telecom guys have got nothing out of it. In fact, they are just probably getting more data consumed, but then they have reduced the price of data so much in anticipation of better market. They are not able to do much about all. And then, of course, they are in a way protected, but that nobody wants them to, we are thinking, look back, there was Supreme Court was saying that, Airtel and all of them have to pay some humongous amount of money by next 10 days, otherwise we'll pass stricture and all. Suddenly Supreme Court also has gone quiet, because today Airtel and the likes of Airtel, except for Jio, tanks, then the country will be disconnected. At least I will not be even connected with anybody, because everything is on Airtel for me. So in a way they got a reprieve, but overall from the, making some benefit out of it, telecom companies have not been able to do much. I think that if things continue like this, some things may happen. The likes of the Disney, Pixar, who are very good in animation creation. If you look at animation movies, there's some amount of physical backdrop and all is there, but a lot of it is in silico, in computers. Of course, you have to have a large team come together and do it. It's not that, I make it and I send it to you, you make it, and like that. You have to be, it's very similar to software development, but nevertheless, they may move to creating more digital content, animation movies, if the real movies are difficult to make. The movies which will be making, I guess, for some time will not make movies with a lot of shots which are taken outside, So we'll probably see more of movies like Agantuk, which Satyajit Ray made towards the end of his career, because he was not very, he was not very agile. So he wanted to make movies which sort of indoor. So after sanitizing the location, maybe more indoor movies will be made. A lot of computer graphics will be used. And if you are looking at the likes of Netflix, I feel that they have really created a huge library of computer graphic content, and they can repurpose and reuse it again and again. So graphics will replace a lot of physical set, and as much as possible. We will things continue. We'll obviously augment home entertainment if we can afford we'll go beyond our smart TV and maybe buy some immersive devices, provided of course they're affordable, and try to get much more entertainment sitting at home. And the last point, I just, there is already digital humanoid actors which has been developed. They look exactly like human beings. They talk. You can't make out. But so far nobody adopted it, because you will not like Tom Cruise to be replaced by humanoid digital. But if Tom Cruise can't act for next 5 years, I'm just saying extreme situation. You may like to see movies still, where there is somebody looks like a human but may not be a real human behind it, or maybe the digital content will look like Tom Cruise himself, right? So this is just an open thought. I have left it, but I'm sure people in the Netflix of the world, people in the not just Netflix, but all this, MGM and Sony Entertainment are thinking on these lines, because they have to think of what happens tomorrow if Corona never goes away, which can also be a reality. Music industry, I feel that they are lucky that before Apple iTunes came in, the music industry was in deep trouble, right? So the music was not selling, it was contracting 6% year on year. And then music industry moved to, making the content free online. And if somebody makes it big or relatively big, they started moving to concerts. So concerts became the main way of making money, revenue for the artists. Now those concerts have all stopped, but concerts were under pressure for some time, because you remember there was a major attack also on one concert in UK, right? So anyway, but concerts are off now. But what is going on is, the revenue model of music at one point became zero. Now, thanks to Saavn or Gaana, Apple Music, Prime Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, all of that, it is happening. Some revenue they have started getting, and the whole concert business goes for a toss. There may be some reworking of a physical concert business of that model also. The artists have already started, or the organizers have already started creating platforms for online concerts. So I have put one, in China, which 130 artists are coming together. You have seen a event which happened 2 days back, which I think Give India raised 52 crores, where people came and performed, and people actually logged in and saw it. I have put a couple of images of people. Still the performance is that individually people are playing, and then somebody is mixing it together and creating a video which they are sharing, because the connectivity is not so good. But if things continue to be what it is, I'm sure very soon telecom companies will come with technology where point-to-point dedicated, which is that model which once Facebook wanted to have, the differential speed of connectivity, which we sort of rejected as a country. But for certain reasons, whether it is telecommunication, telemedicine, or creation of content, it may be possible that people will be able to buy high quality bandwidth on optical fiber backbone and connect real time and start creating music sitting at different locations. Online concerts have started. Online learning of music is there for a long time. It is getting refined. Even my daughter is learning now. Online, creation in a even in a intercontinental music creation has, with 2-3 artists at least, has become very sophisticated. Many groups have actually become very, very successful. We know that many are there in India also. So music industry, in my mind, is sort of protected, but for the physical concerts. And if they can work out and make the people move, and that is where I think in entertainment and sports, I was saying there's a tremendous emotional attachment to the people behind. We like the singer, we like the dancer, if we like the player, and if some way they are available, may not be with the same format which I am accustomed to, but instead of going completely zero, they are available to me in a digital format or through a digital platform. I think a lot of people will shift, and a lot of this revenues and engagements will survive. Unlike some other areas where it is probably a dichotomy, not entertainment sports, but there is a dichotomy. For example, transport is completely orthogonal. You can't have a digital transport unless you are doing teleporting, which is only in science fiction. So that's it. So this is summary. Both are affected, but scope for innovation is there. New rules can be designed. But I feel everybody is waiting. Nobody wants to come to a new model of doing large scale football tournaments with nobody in the camp, in the stadium and all. Of course, situation is not ready for that either. But I guess the industries will wait for a while to see, to go back to the previous, if not previous, but close to previous rules, rather than trying to design new rules and take a grave risk and then suddenly find that the virus has become very weak, or there is a vaccine or something like that. So they are just waiting. A lot more can be done, but they are not. What are these players doing today? For example, what is Messi doing? I mean, they can easily bring Messi in some probably a ground which is sanitized and live stream his practice, but they are not doing it. A lot of people like to see what Messi and Ronaldo is doing today, but they are not doing it, right? Because I think they are worried that if they do that, our appetite for actual Messi when he plays may reduce. I'm just thinking human idols and technology innovation. So one is, of course, human beings, but reduce humans as much as possible and bring in digital, actors. May not be the main, but the support, if not the support, the other actors and the computer graphics. And look at where is the inflection point. And I think this is everybody has to read. So how much the fans are ready to wait, beyond which they will say, I really don't care. Things are not going to be normal. Let's go for the new normal. And that's where I think the adoption of the new models will start happening. And it has not happened yet, but there will be a point where probably it will happen. So that's it. These are again the resources readings. Tomorrow, as I said, infrastructure I want to take, because a lot of jobs are dependent on that, especially now that government is investing. Yeah, I'll stop here. And
good evening, sir. Siddhartha Bhattacharya.
yes, yeah.
This is Siddhartha.